What's up, guys? This is Pedro from My Stuttering Life, where you will hear the good, the bad, the very ugly. We're gonna laugh, we're gonna cry, but through it all, just know that you are not alone. So, let's get started. This is episode number 121, and my special guest is Christopher Anderson. Christopher Anderson is a person who stutters, who self-published a memoir this year titled Every Waking Moment, The Journey to Take Back My Life from the Trauma and Stigma of Stuttering. He is a longtime member of stuttering self-help organizations such as the National Stuttering Association and regularly shares his experience with speech language pathologists. Christopher has an undergraduate and graduate degrees in intelligence studies and is an award-winning subject matter expert on national security for the U.S. government in Washington, D.C., where he lives with his family. He enjoys endurance sports, is a 3-time Ironman triathlon finisher, had Atlanta Braves baseball, and prefers ice-cold root beer with his pizza. I am honored to have him as a guest with me on the My Stuttering Life podcast. Welcome, Christopher Anderson.
Thanks for having me on.
This is a huge honor, sir. I mean, you have no idea. Okay. I want to thank you. We have some topics to go over, so let's get started.
I'm excited for it.
All right, sir. So, do you remember when you first began to stutter?
I have a few memories of it, but the first one that comes to mind is I was in preschool, and my mom was talking to my teacher, and they were paying attention to how I talked, and I didn't understand the reason for it, but it just seemed kind of odd to me. And for whatever reason, that's the moment that I feel like I knew that I had a stutter, but I didn't understand that it was actually a stutter. I knew I spoke differently than others, and they were paying attention to it. And I was about 5 years old. Yeah.
Does it run in your family? Are there any other family members who stutter?
Not to my knowledge, but I have thoughts about it. Like, I feel like there were others that I might not know about or have met, but I have a feeling that there were in the past. But of my immediate family, I'm the only one.
have you ever had speech therapy in school? And if you had, was it helpful?
Oh, I had about 20 years of speech therapy, all through school,
And me too.
uh, uh, outside of school at the same time, intensive therapy, the whole gamut. And it, while it wasn't that helpful for me, um, I've had a lot of time to think about it, and it was helpful in the sense that I had a place to hang out when school in the classroom was hard. Um, and the SLPs always kind of um, allowed me to do what I wanted, which was not always probably the right thing, but it was like helped me kind of with the all the frustrations and the anxiety and all of that of, you know, how much I struggled. And if it had any kind of impact on me, I think that was it. It provided a safe space to kind of decompress and at least acknowledge my stuttering, because everywhere else was always hard, and I was always anxious and on edge. And I had therapy, not in school, but all the way through college, or like halfway through college, and then I stopped for a while. Yeah.
You were talking about having it be a safe space, and I 100% agree, because when I was in speech therapy, that 1 hour is the 1 hour where I took off all of my armor, everything, all of my armor, it all came off. And I mean, let me tell you, it's exhausting. I mean, I don't have to tell you, Mr. Anderson, but stuttering is exhausting. And that 1 hour in speech therapy, I got to take off my armor, and it's like, and then afterwards, I put it all back on and faced the horrors of school, which I will ask you later. But I totally agree that for me also, that was a safe space where, I could just unload everything. And so, yeah.
And if I could add, having therapy in school kind of was the safe space, in contrast to the therapy that I had outside of school. I mean, it was a safe space, but also there was more kind of urgency in the pressure to work on my speech, to improve, to be more fluent. And that, I think, kind of was the opposing conflict that I had, is that I didn't want to do that. I wasn't able to like make the space in my mind of like, okay, if I work on my speech, I'll be able to do X. Or if and it wasn't even that I didn't put in the effort. It's just that I was so anxious and afraid and all in my head that I couldn't apply all the tools that I had at the time. Like, it was just so overwhelming that I wasn't able to do more than one thing at a time. And that the one thing for me was to make it through the days without having to struggle to speak.
Ooh, Mr. Anderson, you are speaking the truth today because I'm a lot older than you. So when I was in speech therapy in the late 1970s, Mr. Anderson, the whole goal it was to have me talk like everybody else, And I mean, you talk about pressure. I mean, we had all these machines and tape recorders and devices, and it's like, good Lord. I mean, I'm already exhausted. Outside of speech therapy, I come into speech therapy where I take off all my armor, like, so, oh, no. Here comes the tape recorder. And then, here comes, this, a breathing apparatus. And it's like, and, the whole goal, but back in the day, it was to have me talk like everybody else. And I mean, I knew, there's just no way. Because, like you, I mean, I struggle. However, it's every second of every encounter, everything. I mean, and so, that's why my armor, when I woke up in the morning, I put on my armor, go to school, I get teased and mocked and bullied and beat up and da-da-da-da, and it's like, okay, so if I can talk like everybody else, I'll be good. It's like, yeah, no.
How, if I can ask,
Always.
how do you feel about that experience looking back on it now? Like, how have you processed all of that?
It's ongoing. It's ongoing. I mean, because I mean, I don't have to tell you. I mean, everything is a trigger. Everything is when I go into a grocery store, I go down the aisle where they have the bleach. It all comes, back to me. My other safe space was in the janitor's closet. And that's where I hung out, a majority of my school time, because, no one wanted to hang out with the kid who could not talk and then who would spit and sputter. So I was isolated, all during school. And so, I felt solace in a janitor's closet, and I met the nicest people who were our janitors, and they would hear me, and they would pray for me and we would pray. But I mean, I still haven't resolved it. I wish, but back in the day, that they had incorporated mental health aspects, how to handle the bullies, how to handle the stress, how to handle the darkness. But, the main goal was to have me talk like everybody else. So to answer your question, I haven't yet. It's ongoing, sir. It's ongoing.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I didn't have, I don't know if we're going to get into this, but I didn't have a lot of the bullying. I more so had the teachers who didn't really understand. And I'm not sure why that was the case, but at the same time, I isolated myself, and I really didn't even like try to talk to others. I had friends, in part because I played sports and I was athletic and all of that, but I was just part of the teams and all of that. And I think people acknowledge me for that, but often I would spend a lot of my time in the library or alone on my own. And I chose that. I tried to hide from people who wanted to talk to me. But so I appreciate hearing about your experience and how you're working through that still, because I am as well. Like it's a ongoing process of examination and trying to find the meanings and all of that.
I mean, and so, as we are talking about school, school can be rough. I mean, if you are a person who stutters, school can be rough. I know you had sports to help you, navigate that. I had our drama club, our thespians. They brought me in. They said, Pedro, you can do anything. Like, I've never heard that before. I have never heard that in my entire whole life. And to hear them, tell me you can do anything, and we're here to help however that we can. And, like with you and your sports, I had me and the, our drama club, and that's what helped to pull me out of that darkness. Cause let me tell you, Christopher, there is darkness. There's a lot of darkness. However, thankfully, I'm so thankful that they had, pulled me out of it. And so I am, so school was rough.
It was. And I feel like sports for me were more of a distraction than anything. It kept me occupied and allowed me to interact enough with others. But I feel like for me, even though like grade school was hard, I think I had a harder time in college because of this social aspect of college and how you're on your own and you have to be responsible for yourself and trying to learn at the same time. That was really overwhelming for me. Even though it was hard, growing up, I kind of just blocked all of that out and tried to make it through it. But I wasn't able to do that in college.
Ooh, I got to tell you, Christopher, college, I was a car salesman in college. My undergrad, my graduate school, whenever we had to do group projects, let's make a deal. I will do all of the work.
Yeah.
Let me repeat that. I will do every single aspect of this presentation except speaking. And so we had, a group of 4 or 5. So I told the whole group, look, all you'll have to do is talk. I'll do everything else. And believe me, they were accommodating.
Mhm.
And after I did everything, I mean, the PowerPoint and all of the pictures and citations and everything,
Mhm.
um, you know, and they handled everything, and they took care of Pedro because I took care of them. And that's how I survived my undergrad and graduate school. Cause I mean, yeah, it was hard. It was hard, and when I had to talk about my my master's thesis, I should have worn extra antiperspirant because afterwards, just drenched. I mean, I thought I was going to have a
Yeah.
heart attack, but college was, it was extremely hard, but I got through it.
Yeah, I had the exact same experience, and whenever I could opt out of the presentations, I was, like you said, I did everything else except for the speaking, um, until I had to do the speaking. I went to school, um, to be an intelligence analyst, and a huge part of that is public speaking, learning how to present, in a variety of situations. And I literally started by having a automated program read my presentations for me as I stood in front of the class. And it was just humiliating to do that. And like, I can't imagine doing that now, but back then it was all I could manage. Um, and I tried to black out or block it out as it happened, but the shame and anxiety and the fear and all of that kind of just took a toll on me. Um, but eventually, I worked my way up to, speaking in front of the classes, and even though I had a hard time, I made it through, and that was how I started to do that.
Ooh, I did the same thing, Christopher. I used all of my high tech, what I call my nerd skills. I did I did what you did because for me it's about survival. It's a
Yeah.
100% 24 hours a day. Pedro has to survive, and this is how I'm going to do it. So yeah, I did the
Mhm.
same thing. Yeah. Um, let's jump back um, to our our grade school years real quick. What advice do you have for parents and teachers and speech therapists regarding children who stutter?
It's all about self confidence, and however they're able to build that up, um, whether it be sports or hobbies or uh, Boy Scouts or uh, any kind of activity that allows them to feel confident in themselves or to learn how to be social um, is huge, and allow that to lead them through school and kind of not only have an emphasis on speech therapy. I mean, it can't be a one-track approach. It has to be their whole lives. Like it's too narrow of a focus to think that improving your speech is only from speech therapy. It's how you carry yourself and how you learn to do that. And the sooner that they're able to feel confident, to learn how to interact with others, even while stuttering, it will improve their lives a lot.
See, and that is great advice. Awesome. I thank you, sir. All right, so we are going to switch gears a little bit. Let's talk about employment. Let's talk about discrimination. And I mean, we can tell. I mean, we know, Christopher. We know when we are being discriminated against. But let me ask you, has that ever happened to you?
I mean, it's definitely happened, but at the same time, it's also happened in the opposite, in that I feel like I got jobs because I fit into a category. But as you said, like there's a lot of discrimination, like especially in college. I had to interview for internships, and I had a lot of interviews, and I never got a call back or anything. I even had people tell me that, or ask me how I would be able to handle the job if I couldn't even have a conversation with them in the interviews. It happens, and I feel like I have a lot better of an understanding after the fact, but as I went through it, it was always like, how am I ever going to get a job here? Like I can't overcome this interview hurdle here. But as I said, like I work for the government, so they have all the rules and the regulations against or to prevent discrimination, but don't actually understand how to apply them or to hire in accordance with them. Yeah, I mean, I've definitely experienced that.
Again, I was a car salesman. And so for my internship, I said, look, you don't have to pay me. Don't pay me nothing. Let me show you what I can do. And so, so out of all of those who were wanting the, high dollar, paid internships. No, not Pedro. No, because it's like, job interviews, horrible. I bombed them. I would hyperventilate. I almost passed out. I actually had a woman hand me a paper bag to help me breathe because I was hyperventilating. And, so my last one, I said, look, you don't have to pay me. Just let me show you what I can do for 30 days. And thankfully, I got it. I got it. I mean, I worked hard for 30 days, without any pay. And, as in college, you are broke. So I was like,
Mhm.
double broke times two. But I said, no,
Yeah.
I have to do this. It's called survival, and thankfully,
Mhm.
I got hired on, and was paid extremely well. So, but I mean,
Right.
I had to first do A in order to have the B. But yeah, I mean, I completely understand. Yeah.
Yeah. It's almost like you have to accept that in order to get where you want to be. Um, I've had to do that as well.
Oh, yes, sir. All right, let's talk about some ADLs. ADLs are activities of daily living. Let's talk about the telephone and and restaurants and the drive-through. So, how did you navigate these ADLs of the telephone, ordering at a restaurant, and the drive-through?
Uh, well, I can knock off the drive-through because I don't eat fast food. I don't know if that started with my avoidance of it, but I don't ever use the drive-through um, or eat fast food for that matter. But the phone, I think, has been the hardest of all the obstacles. Uh, I really avoided the phone at all costs all of my life. Would even rather drive places than make phone calls to them and wait for like to order pizza or something, um, or to make appointments at the vet. I used to do that. I would just be like, oh, I was in the neighborhood when it really took me like 20 minutes to get there. Uh, but as I kind of um, grew up and decided to um, confront all my fears, I started to make the attempts, and I had a hard time. Like a lot of hangups, a lot of the phones breaking up, all of that, and I had to work through that and have like the thing that helped me the most was the phone calls I used had an outcome that I had to achieve, and that made it harder to avoid them altogether. I know that there's a huge part of therapy that like you make practice phone calls to like a hotel or like a rental car place. I did all those, but they didn't help me at all. But the act of actually having like to order something or pay a bill or um, have an outcome that I had to achieve helped a lot in adding the urgency to work on the fears. And took a long time, years even, but I'm able to make phone calls anytime I want. It acknowledge the comments, acknowledging all the hangups, but just keeping at it to improve and to allow myself to experience all of that. Um, And then in terms of like ordering in restaurants, I used to always have other people order on my behalf. But at the moment, like, I don't have any issues at all ordering. I think another thing that I've had to work on a lot is the everyday exchanges I have, like at work or at daycare or just out on the streets saying hi to people. Those are the things that I used to be afraid of and to struggle a lot with, and to be able to experience them and to participate in them is huge now, because I'm more social and I'm able to not have that anxiety of person holding open a door and not being able to say thank you. Like those like fleeting interactions are, I'm able to do them now. And in the past, they just added up in terms of like the things I told myself I wasn't able to do. And having that ability has improved a lot of the different aspects of my life.
Ooh, Christopher, I think we're twins, because I mean, you have made so many great points, but 2 points I want to just go over real quick. With regards to the telephones, you made a great point in the outcome. And when I worked in the corporate world, the telephone was my nemesis. And so what I did was, the outcome was I either had to master it or I would be unemployed. So I hopped on eBay. I looked for the exact same telephone that we had in my office. I ordered it. So what I did, Christopher, for 6 months, 6 months, every day, I would practice making telephone calls and receiving telephone calls. I brought up all of my high school years of acting. I came up with these elaborate telephone conversations. So I did it for half a year. And here's the cool part, Christopher. Here is the cool part. At the end of that half year, it became boring. No more anxiety. No more fear. It just became monotonous. And so then when I had to do it in the real world, aka my corporate job, when my telephone would ring, "Hi, good morning, I'm Pedro. How may I help you?" I mean, it was like, look what I did. I mean, it took half a year. And this is hard work, Christopher. This is hard work. Nobody knows what we have to do on a daily basis to just survive. And so that's what I had to do. The outcome was either I master this or I'm unemployed. And believe me, I'm extremely type A. I am ex-Air Force. I'm military. And so when I put my mind to it, I'm going to do it. And I did it. And it's like, wow, look what I did. It took half a year of every day rehearsing, practicing, different accents, whatever, but I did it. And then also the other great point that you had brought up was everyday exchanges. I couldn't do it. And I felt horrible. I felt just so tiny until I used a bumper word. I have a lot of crutches that I use, Christopher. A lot of people don't like that, we have all these crutches, but for Pedro, it's survival. So I would use a bumper word. If someone had told me, good morning, hi, good morning. Hey, good morning. How are you? Good morning. Something to just kind of help me get over that hump that was
Yeah.
just, I mean, and so after I had incorporated the bumper words, I was good. I was good. So yeah, this is our life, Christopher.
Yeah.
It's interesting, isn't it?
Well, it is. Yeah.
Okay, so I want to ask you this: you are, above the age of legal drinking.
Mhm.
Do you partake in liquid courage? And if you had, do you think that it had helped you speech wise?
It helped a lot when I used to drink in school, especially. But it wasn't always an attempt to improve my speech. It kind of just happened. Um, but there was one time that I wrote about in college where I had an interview on the phone, and I really, really wanted the job. And I knew it would be hard, and I didn't see another way in which I'd make it through unless I used alcohol, because I knew that I could talk more, I'd be more outgoing, I'd have more of a more efficient communication skills, and I wanted to show them. And before the interview, uh, I took some shots of vodka in my room, and hoped I hitched all my hopes and dreams to that. And obviously, I was not proud of that, but it was, as you said, a survival attempt, and it didn't have any impact on me. The fear, the anxiety, all of that just overwhelmed any potential impact of the alcohol, and I struggled a lot. But as I said before, I somehow got the job anyways. In terms of like hiring to a quota of, but after that, I never did that again. But I understand the almost in every other instance, alcohol has a way of allowing me to let loose in a way that stuttering doesn't allow me to. Yeah. I've definitely done that.
Oh, yes. And so, here in Texas, we have our tequila. So I did that one time, Christopher. One time I did it before a huge interview, and I learned a couple of things. I learned that after taking a couple of shots of tequila, it makes me burp. So in the interview, I was burping along with stuttering. And I mean, I learned no, it is not a viable option. However, I have been told after a couple of rum and cokes, it's a whole other Pedro. It's a whole other Pedro. Yeah. But, it's like, no, it is not a viable option. And so I will not do it. I tried it one time, for an important interview, and I did not get it. And then, so I was told, was I on something? It's like, okay. And so I told him, have a nice day. Those are the only words that just, they all came out, have a nice day. So yeah, I'm just right there with you, Christopher, right there.
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about secondaries, or as other people call them, crutches. I mean, I have so many, Christopher. I mean, yeah. I mean, I have like a journal, I do accents, not very well. And I have apologized to everyone in the UK. So I'm not going to do it today. But do you utilize secondaries to help you get over a block, a repetition?
Not as much as I used to. I think the times that I do use them now, it's when I'm well past my endurance of speaking. They're just so hardwired into me. But I try really hard to not allow them into my pattern. But the ones I used to use were like, I used to do like this before I talk. Like I'd have to sniff in enough air to get on the right sound, which is kind of funny now that I think about it, like what other people probably thought about me. I actually have had probably in the last like 5 years, I've had this flap, like I like do that, like it's like an effort to get on the sound, to get going, and like I flap my tongue to like pull out the sound. I don't even know how it came about, but it came out of nowhere like a few years ago, and I'm like what the heck? And that's like a recent one. But also like I used to have these, I can try to show it, but like it would be like an arm flap where like if I'm on the phone and I'm having a hard time, I would like go like throw my arm. Like I don't know why that one started, but it was like I was trying to throw out my words, and the like struggle would just tell my arm to help me out or something. And I mean, I don't often have like issues with changing the words I want to say. I've worked a lot on that over the years. Eye contact. If I'm having a hard time, it's really hard for me to hold any eye contact with the other person. Yeah, I mean, there's probably a lot more that I'm not thinking about, but yeah, I definitely have that.
Oh, yes, Christopher. I mean, you know, you were talking about, in your head, you do word switches. I call that mental gymnastics
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
because I mean, and it's exhausting. I don't have to tell you, Christopher, but
Yeah.
when I'm talking to a person, I know all the words that are coming down the pike, and if
Mm-hmm.
there are words that I know, I'm going to stumble on. As I'm still talking to the individual in my head, I am switching them for easier words, Even though I have a master's degree
Yeah.
in industrial organizational psychology, I'm switching them to easy words and simple words
Yeah.
because, the goal is survival. And then eye contact. I'm trying, Christopher, I'm trying, sir. But when I have a block, my eyes close. Or if I have a repetition, I look up. I look out. My arms go all over the place.
Yeah.
It's ongoing. I have to work on that. I have to make the eye contact and keep
Mm-hmm.
the eye contact because that's what I want from the other person in the
Yeah.
conversation. So I need to do the same thing. So, oh yes, sir. I mean, that's a whole other podcast, but yeah, I do a
Yeah.
lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so here is a hot topic. Okay, we have a couple of hot topics, but here is the hot topic. Do you let others finish your sentences?
Not anymore. I used to be all for that because it would be so hard for me to finish them. And if they do that now, I I sometimes actually like change what I was going to say or like say it in a different way to sh- sh- show them that they need to allow me to finish as like a acknowledgement of it without having the awkward experience of like, hey, can you let me finish? Like if it's happening a lot, like I'll be a little more assertive, but I don't, I mean, if it happens like here and there, like I'm all right with it. Like, but I understand the frustration um, of it if you haven't put in the work to learn how to handle it. Like you haven't had the experience of, you know, calling somebody out on it or um, talking about it, like how you want others to interact with you, which in its own right takes a lot of effort. But I understand all sides of the argument about it.
Have you ever experienced negative self-talk? And if you have, how did you handle it?
I mean, I don't think there was a moment when I didn't experience negative self-talk until the recent years. I think that was the impediment of stuttering was the the thoughts about it, like how I thought about myself, how my speech sounded to others, how I wasn't able to use the tools, like all of that is what holds you back. Like it stands in your way from actually trying to improve as a communicator. And yeah, I mean, I had a lot of issues with that, and have addressed a lot of that already. But as you know, that it's always there.
So let me ask you this. Did, did you name it? Give it a name. I'm curious.
I, I didn't, because I wasn't able to understand it. I wasn't able to wrap my hands around the mental health aspects of it. That was what I actually had to work on. Like I never had any kind of counseling or like nobody ever asked me how it felt to stutter. And had they asked me that, I think it would have opened up an awareness of how unhealthy it was to have all the thoughts about stuttering and the fears and the shame and the anxiety and all of that stuff, and how it was impacting me. But I never acknowledged it. It was just the way I lived. Yeah.
See, and that is what happened, to me. However, when I was in the military, I had speech therapy. So I had a hypnotherapist. He was wonderful. And so, I was telling him, of all of, the voices in my head that were telling me, I can't do this, I can't do that, I can't do that. Mm-hmm. He's like, oh, we call that, our inner saboteur, negative self talk. And so, what I had learned is that if you give it a name, you kind of take away the power. So I named mine Oscar the Grouch. I'm old school, Christopher. I'm old school. So Oscar was hanging around for almost 40 years. That's a long, long time. So, in school, he would pop up, and tell me, I can't do this, I can't do that, I can't do this. And so I listened to him because fear. Okay. Now, later in life, oh no, after I gave him a name, when he would pop up, and believe me, on the daily, Christopher, he would pop up. You can't, hop on that speaker phone and talk to, I said, no, Oscar, I'm doing this. Hush. Or some other colorful language. So I would shut him down. And when I did that, Pedro is in control now. Pedro is in control. And when I was on that speakerphone, I had some stumbles, I had some blocks, but I did it. I shut him down. And so, after I gave him a name, I took back the power and control that he had. I mean, over 3 decades, almost 4 decades of my life. So yeah, Oscar. He still pops up, Christopher, but I shut him down. Down.
Well, that's awesome. I'm happy to hear that approach, and that you're able to acknowledge it and not believe it.
You are 100% all correct, sir. Yes, sir. Okay, so here is a head scratcher. I ask all my guests this, and their answers are split right down the middle. Half yes, half no. But I just want to ask you this. Okay, Christopher. So when you are alone, can you speak without stuttering?
Uh, no, I have to say a lot of the time, yes, but it all depends on what I'm talking about. Like if I'm like practicing reading aloud, um, I still stutter. But otherwise, I mean, it all depends, I guess. Like, I don't, I often don't talk to myself out loud that much unless there's a reason to. But I understand the question, and probably it's about split, even if I stutter or not. Yeah.
And I'm right there with you. I still do it because, when I wake up in the morning, I do my positive affirmations. I still stutter. I go over my calendar in my head out loud. I'm still stuttering. So, yeah, I mean, we're all different.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so has anyone asked you if you had forgotten your name?
all the time.
I really want to hear this one.
Yeah. I actually had one the other day. I was at a meeting and a woman was taking attendance and crossing people off the list, and she got to me and I couldn't get on the sound of my name, and I was going on and on trying, and it just wouldn't come out. And she moved on to the next person, and that person was like, "Oh, he didn't answer you yet. Can you wait for him?" And she goes to me, "Did you forget your name, sir?" And I started laughing. Like, I literally started laughing because it was like, obviously I know what my name is, and if you're any kind of a human, you notice what was happening there. But yeah, I mean, I've had a lot of people ask me if I forgot my name, but it all depends on the kind of mood I'm in, of how I respond to it. But in the past, it was always, I'd always be like really angry and want to, like, talk back to them. But I would be so angry that I couldn't even talk. So, like, it didn't really matter that the moment happened. Like, I still couldn't get anything out, let alone my real name that I supposedly forgot.
I mean, let me tell you, Christopher, if I had a quarter, I would have homes in Greece, Australia, and Bali, Mexico, the UK. And so what I do, the old Pedro, I mean, I would be enraged. However, I'm older now. So now I just educate, here's what I have. This is what you're going to see. This is what you're going to hear. So I'm just letting you know. So for the next time that you have another individual in front of you that's like Pedro, you will have the respect, the patience, and the courtesy and the professionalism to handle the next person who comes in front of you. So, yeah, nowadays for me, it's just, it's all about education and raising awareness, because I mean, I'm tired, Christopher. I'm 52. I'm exhausted. So I'd rather educate and just move on. Just move on.
Yep.
Okay, so here is a extremely important question. I ask everyone this, and every answer I respect. So I want to ask you this question. Do you consider stuttering a disability?
I used to. Um, when it was a disability in my life, when it prevented me from doing all the things that I wanted to do. But I've come a long way in terms of my perspective on that. And it isn't a disability anymore. And in fact, it's more of like a empowering part of me that I'm able to live the life I have alongside of, or even in collaboration with stuttering. And it's taken a long time to see it that way, but I really feel like my life has been enriched by the experience. And I'm not sure if you're going to ask this, but a lot of people ask if I had the opportunity to not stutter at all, or if I could take a pill and all of a sudden my stuttering would go away. I would choose the experience again, to have a stutter, to know all the ways in which it has allowed me to arrive at the life I have at the moment. Like, a lot of people aren't able to have that experience, to have hard things to work through, or to understand how to work through adversity, to be challenged in your life. I personally feel like it's improved every aspect of my life, even though it's hard. Like, it's a hard thing to live with, but at the same time, it has helped me become who I am.
I thank you for your answer, sir. I thank you. So let's talk about your career path. Did you ever think that your stutter might hinder your career path?
Yes, I wanted to be a teacher. I wanted to be a police officer. I wanted to be a sports broadcaster. All the things that had to do with public speaking. And I didn't choose to do any of those things. But I chose a career in which I thought I could hide behind a computer. And I went through college and I realized that it was the exact opposite of that. But I think all of the experiences I've had in my job have allowed me to face a lot of the fears, the avoidances that I wondered how I would be able to make it through them, how I could have a career like I have, in which my speech is my commodity. Like, what I have to say is what I get paid for. And I ultimately ended up doing something a lot harder than what I wanted to be in the beginning. And I think that has helped me kind of smooth over the avoidances of my early adult years, and that I have a job that's a lot harder than I ever thought I could handle. Yeah.
See, and I was on that path. I wanted to be an attorney because I love to argue. But I was pre-law, in school. However, I watched that movie. I don't know if you've ever seen this movie called My Cousin Vinny.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But there is a courtroom scene, Christopher, that changed my life. And on that Monday morning, I changed my major from pre-law to psychology. I thought I can help people, but in a different way. Yeah. So, yeah, I really, I wanted to be an attorney in corporate law, but, for me, survival mode, and so, yeah. But, I love what I do now. So, it worked out. So here is another hot topic. Let's talk about dating. As we say here in Texas, how is dating? Because as it's hard for everyone. But if you're a person who stutters, dating is like 1,000,000 times more difficult. How did you handle the dating with having a stutter?
To be blunt, I took what I could get. I accepted things that I shouldn't have. I overlooked, things that happen in my relationships that, lead to couples breaking up. I kind of always thought that I would never be able to meet somebody that I actually was like attracted to, had a connection with, was excited about, and I kind of just stayed in relationships too long. But then as I got into my adult years, and a lot of my story already, but I kind of used dating as a way into my life, like a way to acceptance, in that I ended up getting married to the wrong person, because it was the only person I thought who would want to marry me because of my stutter. I just had no understanding of how I can meet somebody else. And I went into the marriage understanding it was on like the last leg, and it ended in a divorce. But I think that allowed my life to open up a little bit, and I ended up using online dating as a means to pull together a story of my life, and it helped me learn how to have small talk and conversations, and just have a lot more of the interactions that you have to learn how to have in order to maintain a relationship. And I went on a lot of first dates, hardly ever getting a second date. And I think that was actually what helped me when I actually met my now wife, because I had a story, I had a lot to talk about, and I understood the how to have conversations that I hadn't had the chance to learn in the past. And having an ability to maintain conversations, to be outgoing, to connect with someone else, was a whole new experience for me, and it allowed me to understand that I was capable of doing that, and it kind of allowed the relationship to develop into the one I've been after all my life. So, I mean, even though it took me a lot longer and a indirect route to get there, I made it. Like, I proved myself wrong, and I was more capable of it than I thought I was.
Wow. I mean, and now, you have been happily married for how many years now?
This year will be 7 years.
Awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Dayton is just I mean, you know, um, you know, I didn't go on my first date until I was 25 years old, and it was a blind date. My first ever at the age of 25, and it was a blind date. And once I walked in and the eyes locked, that was it. And this past February, we have been together for 27 years. Ooh,
Wow.
Christopher, let me tell you,
Yeah. That's
the
awesome.
heart wants what it wants. So it's all good. It's all good. All right. So how about we talk about technology? What do you think about all this new AI technology? We have Siri, we have Google Home, and we have Alexa. Do you think all this new technology is helpful or harmful for people who stutter?
Um, I don't have an opinion either way. I don't personally use any of it. I just think it's more of a like inconvenience than anything. That then it helps the actual like what it's meant to be used for. So I really uh, don't have an opinion about it.
I don't I do not use them as well because they don't give you enough time to respond. I need to breathe. I
Yeah,
need to do my positive affirmations. I need to do my meditation, but no, they don't. They do not give you enough time to respond. So I don't either. All right. So, what is a challenge speech wise that you had to overcome, and how did you do it?
I mean it's hard to pick just one, but a recent one uh, not too long ago was I used to have to make a phone call every time I picked up my son at daycare. I used to have to call and say, "Hi, it's Chris Anderson. I'm here to pick up my son uh, every day to pick him up," and it was like one of the hardest things to do because it's after the work day and I'm exhausted from talking all day, and at the same time, I just want to pick him up and take him home and not have to do anything else. And you know, at the start, it was a lot like, "You're breaking up. I can't hear you. Who did you say you were here to pick up?" You know, for the first like handful of calls. But after that, I just kept calling because I had the opportunity to do it again the next day and the next day and the next. And it was like the more I experienced the calls and like allowed myself to be like, all right, I'm exhausted, but I have to make the call. And it just got to the point where I was comfortable doing them. And then they changed the process of where I just had to have a key fob where I just come in and get them. So it was like, you know, I put in all the work to get to a place where I could do this every day. And then it's, I don't have to do it anymore, but it's like those every day experiences that show you that you're able to move through your life without like your stuttering preventing you from doing what you need to do.
Oh, yes, sir. I agree. So here is a question, it's kind of deep, but I respect everyone's answer. So, do you think it's okay to stutter, or is it important to keep chasing the fluency gods?
I think you know my answer to this, but it's more than okay to stutter. I think, and that's kind of the part about it that I never understood was, all right, how do I become okay? How do I learn how to accept all the parts of my stuttering? Whereas, the effort to become more fluent or anything associated with that is to hide a huge part about who I am and what I do and how I talk. And I think that prevented me from experiencing a huge part of my life. So being open about stuttering and allowing others to hear it opened up everything in my life. So it's really okay to stutter.
Thank you for that, sir. So, what has your stutter taught you?
It's hard to name just one thing, but I think one of the main things is that understanding that I'm on a journey, and that it's not only what has happened in the past or how I stutter in the moment, it's where I want to go. Like, it's how every time I openly stutter, it's kind of an opposition to the fear and the uncertainty of who I can become and all the things that I'm capable of doing. And I don't know where my life will go, but I know that I'll try to get where I want to go. And that hasn't always been the case. So having that perspective that if I'm having a hard day stuttering, it's only that day, and that I have a new opportunity to move forward the next day. And it's like, it can trap you in the moment or in your thoughts about, like how hard the experience is. But if you understand that the road is long and you have a lot of opportunities to get back on the horse, keep going, kind of opens it up a lot more and allows you to understand that, it's just part of who you are.
Oh, yes, sir. Thank you for that. What advice would you give to another person who stutters?
Stop only trying to work on your stuttering. Like, don't only go to speech therapy and expect to improve your life. Like, you have to work on every aspect of your life. Have hobbies, have a job, have all the relationships that you want. And as you experience the things that you think stuttering has an impact on or prevents you from doing, you'll start to gain self-confidence and the momentum that you need to help you in conjunction with speech therapy, if that's what you decide to do. But I feel like there's always this emphasis on, like, you have to be only in therapy to improve how you stutter or achieve self-acceptance. But it's really when you take the emphasis off your stuttering that you get the space to grow and really take the reins of your life.
And that is great advice, sir. Awesome advice. So if you had the opportunity to be on the world stage and to give the world insight about stuttering, what message would you convey to the world?
How people who stutter are really good at facing adversity and just taking it head on. I feel like it's the part of the experience that is overlooked, in that while people who don't stutter call us resilient, they don't understand what underpins that resilience, in that every time we open our mouths to speak is an opportunity to confront the fear, the stress, the shame, and to do that for years of our lives trains us to face things that are hard and to stand strong in them, and to understand that we're going to be okay. And I would want people to know that we are able to handle adversity a lot better than most people, because we have to do it so much.
And that is a great message. Ooh, I love that message. Hold on. I got goosebumps. That was a good message, sir. All right. So you wrote a book, and what I've been telling everybody since day one, Christopher, since day one, on my podcast, on the YouTube, everywhere, I tell everyone, people who stutter, we are creative, courageous, resourceful, and resilient. And you wrote a book. And before you say anything, I have to tell you, a masterpiece.
Thank you.
Powerful. Oh, look. Ooh. Powerful. And I mean, I'm blown away. I'm blown away. So I don't I don't want you to give everything away because I want for all my listeners global in 61 countries on 6 continents. I want for everyone to go get the book. But I want you to talk about your brand new book. What, what's the title, and what was the driving force behind writing it?
So thank you for that. I appreciate your kind words about it. It's called Every Waking Moment. A journey to take back my life from the trauma and stigma of stuttering. And I wrote it because I wanted to talk about the experiences of stuttering that aren't talked about enough. The across a lifetime experiences that even though all of us who stutter experience stuttering in our own ways, we all have to pass through the same kinds of experiences in life, the school, the friendships, college, all of that. And I wanted to have a behind the scenes type perspective on that. And what really led me to write was my experience of the uncertainty of the life I could have as a kid, if I continued to stutter in the future. It was just this all-encompassing uncertainty of how I was ever going to make it in life. And I wanted to share that with others to provide not only the hope for their futures, but also to kind of put out there like an example of self-acceptance, or what it means to know that it's okay to stutter. Essentially, it's the book I needed all throughout my life. And I knew that if I was able to write the stories of all the experiences I had, that other people would understand them and hopefully see some hope in them.
I have to tell you, Christopher, when I read it, it married, a lot of my life. I mean, it's powerful. And, in reading it, I had, you wrote it, in a way where, I was having all of these mental pictures, of when I was, growing up, with school and work and, and I mean, it's masterfully written, and I mean, I cannot tell you that enough. And it's powerful. It brought me to tears a couple of times. I'm going to be honest with you. It's a beautiful book. I also had wanted to ask you, did you learn anything about yourself after writing this book?
I learned a lot. But I think the main thing is that I learned that I was after the social connectivity aspect of life, that I thought I wasn't able to learn because of how I stuttered. But as I examined the stories, I learned that I was actually more social than I knew, that I had people alongside of me throughout my life that kind of were there for me, helped me along at all the times that I needed people. And stuttering kind of it didn't allow me to feel that or to see that. And I learned I was actually a lot better at the social skills that I longed to have all throughout my life. And I feel like that perspective has helped me advance a lot faster in life, knowing that, I could maintain relationships and even start new ones. And I never thought I was able to do that, but when I looked back on my life, I was the one who taught myself how to be alone, how to isolate myself from others. And all along, people wanted to be around me. They wanted to help me. They wanted to have the friendships that, I kind of didn't allow them to have. And in the latter years here, I've had to work on that a lot, to allow people in to talk about stuttering with them. And it has opened up every part of my life. And I never realized that until I wrote.
I mean, that's just awesome. And you talk about the power of connecting,
Mm-hmm.
What I tell everybody is, I'm in a bunch of communities. I have the podcasting one. I have the voice acting one. And then I'm in the stuttering community.
Mm-hmm.
All of them have this in common: supportive,
Mm-hmm.
help to lift you up, help you out however that they can. Talk about what the power of connecting did for you?
It allowed me to exist in the moments. It, with my ability to be open about my stuttering, it invited the other people into the connection. And I mean, I can't tell you how often people share things about themselves that I never knew, only because I was able to show my stuttering and that I was okay with it. And as I learned how to have small talk and conversations, I gained more of a capacity to engage on the hard things, to actually provide advice or just an ear to hear people out. And it just is unlike anything I thought I could ever do. And it's just all about the willingness to be open with people. And that's what I tried to write about in the book, is that I wanted to be honest in my stories. And that honesty, I think, is a lot of times harder for people who they don't have the experience of stuttering, where like I can't hide it, I can't pretend like I don't stutter, and like that's my invitation of honesty to others, and it really opens up the connections.
I mean, just, whew, I mean, you have just blown me away, Mr. Anderson. Now, you did an audio version, correct?
Yeah, yep, I did.
Okay, so first of all, I have the utmost respect for audiobook narrators. So I want to ask you, what was the whole process like recording an audio version of your awesome book?
It kind of just happened. I was like, I'm going to do this, and I started to figure out the process of how you go about recording an audiobook. So the first thing was I needed to practice reading aloud, so that when I walked in the studio, it wasn't the first time that I heard my voice for over an hour at a time. So for like 2 months, I read at least an hour a day before I went to work. And that would be probably about 5 to 8,000 words each time. And it helped build up the endurance to stutter for that long. And even like to understand what it felt like to do that, because it just takes so much out of you, even if you don't stutter, to read for that long. So after a few months, I was like, all right, I got to start doing the recording. And I started, and it was like one of the hardest things I ever did. So like, in the studio, I had my laptop, I had headphones on, and the mic in front of my face. And that alone by itself is not anything anybody who stutters would want to willingly choose to do, as you know. And on top of that, there is the audio engineers outside of the room who are handling the recording, and there's a window in the room for them to watch me as they're hearing my stuttering, while I'm hearing the stuttering in my ears as I'm reading. And, I have to be honest, like, I had a hard time. I wasn't that efficient. I stutter a lot, but it's understandable. Like it's not like, I don't know. It's more stuttering than I wanted, but I'm still incredibly proud of the effort, because I would read probably on average an hour and a half total in 2 hours. And I did that 12 times. So it was a haul. But towards the end, what's interesting about it is how much my stuttering evolved, almost, in that at the outset I was trying to process the whole experience of it, like learning how to exist in the moment in the studio with a microphone in front of me, just trying to make it through. But I'd say like halfway through the book, I was starting to hit my stride, and I was able to pick up the efficiency and endurance a lot more as I went along. And it was kind of eye-opening, because I would read for like an hour and a half without taking a break. And that was a huge change and improvement from the outset, where I would read a section at a time and have to stop, or I would be blocking a lot and I just have to take a break. But at the end, I was just able to power through and, meet the goals of the sessions I had, and not have to stop like before I wanted to.
I have to tell you, I mean, you are my inspiration. You are my inspiration. Because as you, I don't know if if you know, but I'm in the voiceover training right now.
Mm-hmm.
The goal is, I want to do, TV promos and movie promos. I want my voice out there. And so I'm having to educate a lot of studio producers.
Mm-hmm.
I'm having to educate, all my coaches, all my mentors, everyone that, I have a stutter, and in voiceover, I think we are the unicorns.
Yeah.
They've never had any of us out there. And so by you narrating your book, just phenomenal. I can't wait to get it in the audio version, and you best believe I'm going to tell everybody about it, because it's just awesome. I just have no words. So what is the title of the book again?
Every waking moment, the journey to take back my life from the trauma and stigma of stuttering.
Awesome. I have a call to action for all of the people who's hearing us right now. Call to action. I will have the link to have you order the book in the podcast show notes, and I want for everybody to go and get this book. It is masterfully written. It's powerful. Christopher, if my global listeners had wanted to reach out to you, what would be the best way?
Over email, and that's moment at email.com.
All right, sir. Awesome. I thank you for that. I will have all of that and then all of your links in the podcast show notes. And Mr. Anderson, we are almost at the 2-hour mark, and I've had the best conversation with you, sir. You are a true inspiration. You are just phenomenal. And so I want to thank you for sharing your journey and your new book, because I believe there's healing in sharing. And I want to say thank you. Your book, it moved me. It moved me in so many ways. It's powerful. And I just want to say, there are no words, but thank you.
Well, thank you, Pedro. I really enjoyed the conversation, and thank you for the opportunity to come on and talk about the book and all things stuttering. I had a lot of fun.
Awesome, sir. I thank you so much. And one more time, everyone, go get the book. Leave right now and go online, go and get this book. It is powerful. It's wonderful. It's just truly awesome. So just one more time, Christopher, I thank you. Down the road, let's do this again, because I see so many, bright, powerful things happening to you in your future. So down the road in a 2023, let's do this again, sir.
I'd love to.
All right, sir. Awesome. I thank you very much. I want for you to have a great day. Take care, be well, and stay safe.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
If you like this podcast, head on over to Apple Podcasts. Subscribe, rate, and review. Thank you for listening, and we will talk again.